As I look around the NFL, there are so many really fun and interesting and competitive division battles coming up. Most divisions in the NFL have 3 or even more teams that have a shot at winning their division. Now, there are a few weaker ones, like the NFC South, for example, is most likely going to be dominated by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like New Orleans might, and I mean might, have a shot at challenging them. For the most part, we all assume, hey, the Buccaneers are going to win their division. In the NFC North, the Packers feel like the heavy favorite. Maybe Minnesota could challenge them. And the AFC South is going to be won by either Tennessee or Indianapolis, the Colts, or the Tennessee Titans. So those are 3 divisions. I'm like, they'll be fun. But hey, the Houston Texans are not going to challenge anyone for the NFC South. But the rest of the NFL has like 3 or more teams with a shot to win their division. And the rest of the NFL almost feels wide open. It's really, really a fun opportunity for us as football fans. For example, the AFC North. I have no idea what's going to happen there. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are trying to make a final run with Big Ben, and I've been skeptical of Big Ben for a long time, but he actually had a really good training camp. So the Steelers are contenders in the AFC North. You have the Cleveland Browns have maybe the best roster in the division entirely. They have year 2 with their young head coach, Kevin Stefanski. Baker Mayfield, I got a lot of confidence in him. People hate on Baker, but it's like, well, he's had nothing around him in Cleveland. He still has his job, and he's taken Cleveland to the playoffs. I don't know how much more you want from Baker Mayfield. The Browns, I think, actually should be the favorite to win the AFC North. The Ravens have Lamar Jackson. That makes them always a wild card. They lost their running back, J.K. Dobbins. He tore his ACL. But Baltimore is still in the mix. You got Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cleveland. Now, the Bengals, they're going to compete. I don't think, let me say, not only do I not think, the Bengals have no shot at winning their division. But don't forget, the Bengals beat the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, late in the year, and they beat Pittsburgh without Joe Burrow. They played a backup quarterback and beat a playoff team, Pittsburgh. And last year, go watch Week 7, Browns-Bengals. Really fun game. Baker versus Joe Burrow. The Browns almost lost to Cincinnati, and Cincinnati put up a fight both times they played Cleveland last year. So the AFC North is going to be really, really fun, really, really competitive. Now, how about the AFC East? The Jets are out. They're rebuilding, although their rebuild does appear to be going very, very well. But between Buffalo and New England and Miami, this division is up for grabs. Now, in my opinion, Buffalo should be the favorite. They went to the AFC title game last year. They have a good roster. They've got a coach I like, Sean McDermott. The Bills have a quarterback who I adore, Josh Allen, the best young quarterback in the AFC East. However, in spite of that, quarterback I like, coach I like, great roster, there is still no guarantee that Buffalo is going to win their division. Part of that is because of the Patriots head coach, Bill Belichick. And anytime your team is coached by Bill Belichick, you have a shot. Now, not to mention, coach we love, Bill Belichick. The Patriots also spent a ton of money in free agency rebuilding their roster, and it's impressive what they got. Now, they are starting a rookie quarterback. That is a thing that a lot of people are like, weird, interesting. But I think Mac Jones is ready for this moment. He is accurate. He is a good decision maker. He is a guy who I don't think is going to turn over the ball a lot. Now, the best part about starting Mac Jones at quarterback is that the Patriots really don't need to ask him to do that much. They run the ball very well. They play good defense. Basically, what New England is looking for from Mac Jones is early on, they want him to not turn over the ball. And I think they're hoping that by week 17, he's a very different player. Week 1 to week 17, he's going to grow. And I guess we're playing 18 weeks this year. So week 1 to week 18, he's going to become a different quarterback. And hopefully by the end of the year, they can rely on him a little more to make game-winning throws and this and that. But even if he never gets to that point, if he's always a game manager throughout the year, he takes care of the ball, doesn't make costly mistakes, that is still enough because that's actually how Bill Belichick won his first Super Bowl with Tom Brady. So it would not shock me to see the Patriots make a deep playoff run. Do not count them out. Now, let's talk about Miami because it's almost kind of weird how similar New England and Miami are. They're both very well coached. They are disciplined football teams. In fact, Miami's head coach, Brian Flores, came from New England. He used to be the Patriots defensive coordinator. Now, The parallels do not end there, though. Both Miami and New England have quarterbacks from Alabama. Tua went to University of Alabama. He plays for the Miami Dolphins. Mac Jones, the quarterback for New England, went to Alabama as well. They're very similar. They're both guys who are not highly mobile, who rely on good decision-making. And, whether it's Miami or New England, if they get good enough quarterback play, because of their defenses. Miami's got a great defense. New England has a great defense. They're also both weirdly very, led by their great corners on the outside guarding receivers. So it's kind of unbelievable how, over and over again, you can find parallel after parallel between Miami and New England. And again, I started to say this, I cut myself off. If they can get good quarterback play, both Miami and New England are capable of making a Super Bowl run. It just depends on how quickly do their young quarterbacks develop throughout the year. Now, the AFC East is a bloodbath. Buffalo, New England, Miami. Any one of those teams could come out on top. But how about the NFC West, a division where this is truly anyone's division? Now, the Rams are probably the favorite to win the NFC West. They have one of the best, if not the best, defense in the entire NFL. They have traded for a star quarterback this offseason, Matthew Stafford. They have a great young coach, Sean McVay, one of the better coaches in the NFL. The Rams should be the favorite to win the NFC West. However, Seattle and the Seattle Seahawks and the 49ers are both teams that are going to try to push them from below. Now, what's interesting about Seattle and San Francisco is that they have, I would call it, opposite problems. The 49ers have a ridiculously good team. I love their roster. I love what they've built, but they're short a quarterback. Their veteran quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, I would call him limited. He's just kind of the weakest link when he's your starting quarterback. And the rookie quarterback in San Francisco, Trey Lance, is going to be a star. I am so sure of it, but he's not quite ready yet. He's still developing. So the 49ers' weakness right now is their quarterback position. You look at Seattle, they're the opposite. Their biggest strength is their quarterback, Russell Wilson. They've got a couple stars in Seattle, 3 or 4 guys. Russell Wilson at quarterback, DK Metcalf at receiver, Bobby Wagner at linebacker, Jamal Adams at safety, where Seattle's got these incredible star players, but that's what they rely really, really heavily on. And it's kind of crazy. If you could take those 4 guys that I just listed and put them on the 49ers roster, it'd be over. The 49ers would win a Super Bowl almost immediately. And I know you got to play 17 games, but imagine if you could combine Seattle and San Francisco's roster. I mean, even if you combined Houston and Jacksonville, you'd probably end up with something good. But 2 teams with opposite strengths, if you could combine them into one team, that would make a really, really bulletproof football team. And while Seattle, again, they're heavily dependent on their stars, the 49ers do not quite yet have a great quarterback, the guy they've been looking for. They're hoping Trey Lance is that guy. I think Trey Lance is that guy, but he's not there yet. Now, Arizona and the NFC West is very, very interesting because the question is, can they put themselves in the mix? They've got this great quarterback, Kyler Murray. They've got a bunch of really good players, J.J. Watt, DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Green, Chandler Jones, Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons, and that's only naming a few of the guys Arizona has. There is so much talent in Arizona. But their coach is on the hot seat. The question is, how good of a coach is Cliff Kingsbury? Because Arizona has too much talent to not be competitive in their division. And if they aren't good, then Cliff Kingsbury is going to get blamed and ultimately going to get fired and lose his job in Arizona. So the NFC West, crazy competitive, 4 teams that really, if Arizona gets hot and someone gets injured in LA with the Rams, Arizona could potentially win that division. Anyone has a shot in the NFC West. It's very fun there. Now, the AFC West, you have 3 teams that could win the division. And then, unfortunately, I do not believe one of those 3 teams is the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders will be 3rd or 4th best in their division, depending on what happens to Denver, depending on what happens to injuries at the top of that division. Now, we'll talk about Kansas City first, because Kansas City is absolutely stacked. They have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. They've got a great coach, Andy Reid. Tons of talent. Remember, Kansas City lost the Super Bowl last year. You watched it. I'm sure you remember. Lost to Tom Brady. So Kansas City should be the favorite this year to win their division. But then you have Denver and LA. And we'll start with LA. The Chargers, have underachieved in recent years. They got rid of their head coach. They brought in a new coach this year, Brandon Staley. They are hoping that he allows them to have a better edge in close games. Maybe the kicking game can get solved because there's a lot of talent in LA with the Chargers. They've got maybe the highlight guy on their team, great receivers, good defenders everywhere, but the best thing the LA Chargers bring to the table, if you want to watch them on TV, is their second-year quarterback, Justin Herbert. And many people, because of him, even consider the LA Chargers as a team that could be a dark horse Super Bowl team. Now, Denver. The Denver Broncos, and it's a big if, but if the Broncos can have their quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, play really, really well this fall, then not only does Denver have a shot at winning their division, Denver has a true shot at winning a Super Bowl. I know that sounds pretty crazy, but Denver has one of the best rosters in the entire NFL, top to bottom. Defense, the secondary, linebackers, a great tight end, star receivers everywhere, a good offensive line. I mean, it is really unbelievable how complete of a roster Denver has. They just need good quarterback play. And if they can get that from Teddy Bridgewater, they are a team that could easily win their division. The question is, how good is Teddy going to be? Now, finally, let's talk about the NFC East, because it seems like Washington should have been the favorite to win the division. But I have Philly as the worst team out east. However, the reality is, with Washington as the favorite, Philly as the bottom, like, how far apart are they really? Because anyone could actually win this division. I hate saying that. I've been pretty unkind to Philadelphia. But even Philly, like, what if I'm wrong and Philadelphia's new head coach, Nick Sirianni, is incredible? Remember, Philly has Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, two fun, exciting receivers, Zach Ertz, Jalen Hurts. Like, that rhymes too. That's kind of fun. You have some talent in Philadelphia, and if the coach is really good, it can pull the best out of his players. They're not that far from the top of the division. I remember last year, Washington won the division and made the playoffs, going 7-9. That is how, I guess, almost weird and bad and competitive the NFC East was, where Washington only won 3 more games than Philly, who was the 4th team in that division, and Washington went to the playoffs. And part of that's because they were all bad and some were injured. Part of that's because it's crazy competitive and really fun and interesting in the NFC East. I love the fans. I love the passion out east. Now, the Cowboys got their quarterback, Dak Prescott, back from his horrific injury. They've got some defensive, I can't even say it. They have some decent offensive weapons. I really like what they got going on. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. I'm not really that confident in the Giants' young quarterback, Daniel Jones. But it does seem like the Giants, as a team, are making a lot of progress under their second-year head coach, Joe Judge. And then Washington, I've said it before, they are the best team in this division. They have, if not the best, it's them or the Rams have the best defense in the entire NFL, Washington or LA. However, quarterback play is a wild card in Washington. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the starting quarterback in Washington. His entire career has been marred with uneven play and very, very inconsistent play at quarterback. And so I'm really not sure what to expect. He's a wild card there, but they do have Terry McLaurin, a great receiver. They added Curtis Samuel in the offseason. I'm excited to watch Washington. Ryan Fitzpatrick is certainly being put in a position with a good defense, a good coaching staff, some good receivers, where, hey, Ryan Fitzpatrick, you could argue, has been a guy who's never gotten this much support in his entire career. This might be the moment, and we'll see. I thought the only other time Ryan Fitzpatrick really had a great team around him was in Tampa with Mike Evans and that great receiving core. So who knows, really, but I am rooting for Ryan Fitzpatrick. I would love to see him do well. And Washington, I think, will win the division. But the truth is, anyone, truly, can win the NFC East.